to download the book when it's put in the chat. It's a lifesaver. I want to thank you for being here. Have a great day.
Thank you, Tammy. And if you guys aren't UC Riverside students, don't worry about it. We appreciate you guys taking the moment to join us. This is open to not just UC Riverside students, even though this was organized by their VRC. We are always encouraging veterans to continue to reach out and get access to as much information as possible. So thank you and welcome. Tammy, thank you for having us. And let's go ahead and get started talking about accessing your California benefits. All right, we're going to go over a few light housekeeping items. We do ask that everyone go ahead and keep your cameras off. That is to maximize bandwidth. We do get quite a few people on these calls. We want to make sure that nobody gets dropped or kicked out or things move too slow. You will also be have your microphones muted again to minimize distractions and make sure everything continues to move quickly. I'll go over a more detailed overview of what your California benefits are, and then we'll have a person from a local agency network coordinator speak with you today, as well as someone from the local county veteran service office give you more information. Then after that, we're going to move into our virtual question and answer panel. And at that time, that's when we'll go ahead and address your general questions. We do ask that you keep your questions very brief, very general, because this is a recorded webinar and lots of people are listening in or who might be viewing later. We do ask that you keep personal or very specific questions to just go ahead and send those over to our speakers today. You will have access to their direct contact information and they are eager to help you in any way they can. So if you have very specific or very personal questions, we ask that you do send those out to those speakers. And then if you have just general overview questions, we can ask that to CalTAP questions in the chat, and he'll either answer those then or we'll save those for our virtual question and answer panel. And with that, let's go ahead and get started to the main portion. Oh, yes, here is a review of the chat function that you should have received. Hopefully you have those instructions. You should see things begin to pop up in the chat right about now, so that way you can find it if you are unable to locate it just yet. So welcome, my name is Danielle Tran. I'm a training coordinator with the California Transition Assistance Program. I am also a UC Riverside alumni. I graduated from there several years ago, but I am excited to present to you guys today, whether you're a UC Riverside student or just a veteran looking for more information. What is CalTAP? Well, CalTAP is designed to inform and connect all veterans of all eras to their earned state and federal benefits. And we do that through our 5 pathways: our core curriculum, education, entrepreneurship, employment, and then our 5th pathway for service providers. Those are for those who are actually serving veterans. So we want to make sure that everyone stays up to date on the right information and knows how best they can serve you. Oh, well, let's go back there. Sorry about that. There we go, hit the wrong button. So here is the veteran resource book that Tammy mentioned. You're going to be able to get this. You should have received it through your email. The Eventbrite email would have had a direct link to this veteran resource book, but also our CalTAP questions is going to go ahead and upload that book directly into the chat. It's going to allow you to download it. So we do strongly encourage that you guys keep access to this book. It's constantly updated. If you're using the online link, we do have a new version coming out, I believe in the next few months or so. But again, we strive to keep this updated and have the most up-to-date information on what your California specific benefits are, where you can get help and resources. So this is a great book to have at your fingertips. On our website, that's calvet.ca.gov, you can get access to the CalTAP main page there on the home page. And that's where you'll see our 5 pathways that I mentioned and outlined earlier. But I also want to point out our archives page, which is in that yellow circle towards the bottom. And on that page is where you'll see access, where you'll be able to get access to our previously recorded webinars. Because of COVID-19, we have moved a lot of our in-person outreach to online, and we are eager to go back to doing stuff in person. We will likely still continue to do these webinars, and many of them are recorded and available for you to view on the website. So this webinar is also being recorded, and once it is available to be put on the website, it will be added along with a copy of the PDF presentation. So if you're looking to get access to these slides, those should be on our website within the next 24 to 72 hours. Just depends on how long the team takes to get to that. So how can you use CalTAP online? So I'm going to start just by going to that core curriculum pathway. And once you're there, you'll see different modules, and we've broken out the education that you can kind of go through at your own pace into different modules. I'm going to focus on module 5, which is your California benefits. And once you're there, you'll be able to get access to documents such as these. They are PDF documents that have active links in there that'll take you to places where you're going to apply or places to find your local county veteran service office. But it's going to go into great detail on all of the benefits I'm going to talk to you guys about here today. So some of them I'm going to touch basis on in a detailed manner. Some of them I'm just going to cover the bare basics. So if you're looking for the more detailed information, you can either contact me directly. If you have questions, you can contact your local county veteran service office, or you can go online and get access to the information and be able to view it at your own pace. So what are your California benefits? Well, it's in chapter 1 of your veteran resource books is where it starts to talk about that. But again, you can also go to our website and get a generalized list of those, as well as a detailed list of exactly what those benefits are. So let's start by talking about the college tuition fee waiver for veteran dependents. Now, this waives mandatory system-wide fees, tuition and fees at any state-funded school. That's the UC level, like UC Riverside, the community, the California State University, as well as the community colleges. And this allows veteran dependents to be able to pursue their education goals all the way up through their doctorate. So it's open to dependents or disabled veterans who have a rating from the VA of 0% or above. This does include stepchildren. So if you're married and your significant other has children as well from a previous marriage, those are still your dependents. They may not be your child, they're still your dependents because your income does care for them. So you would be able to, they would be able to utilize this benefit as well. And it's not limited to any specific number of children. If, God bless your soul, you have 10 kids, all 10 would qualify for this fee waiver depending on which plan they're looking at. The dependent must live in California. So for example, my father is a veteran and he lives in Las Vegas. I live here in California. If I suddenly became eligible for the fee waiver, I could still apply for it because I do reside in California. So you would apply at your local county veteran service office, and we'll get more information on that from your local county veteran service office who will be here today. Let's go. Here we go. So under Plan A, the veteran must be 100% disabled. There is an age limit. It's for 14 to 27 years old. Now the age limit is for the child. Under Plan A, you can potentially have your spouse covered, but usually for this one, the veteran does have to be permanently and totally disabled in order to qualify under Plan A. And then it's just for the spouse and for the child. Under Plan B, which is where we typically see most veterans dependents qualify under, the veteran just has to have a 0% rating to be able to qualify for this. And there is no age limit, which again, that's where you're allowed to be able to pursue your doctorate. But there is an income restriction, and that is based on the child's income and includes the child's adjusted gross income as well as the value of support provided by the parent. Now that value of support does not have to be a specific number. It could be whatever the parents say that you are giving to support your dependent while they're going to school. So that is something that you want to look into. Under Plan C, it's for dependents of the California National Guard. And then under Plan D, it's for Medal of Honor recipients. Again, like I said, we do see typically most veteran dependents qualifying under Plan B, but you do have the options of Plan A, C, and D. Our DMV programs include getting a veteran's driver's license, and this just allows you to get access to certain privileges and benefits that might be associated with being a veteran without having to carry around your DD-214 in order to go ahead and verify that you are in fact a veteran. So to get this, you would go down to your local county veteran service office, and they're going to give you a form. They just want to make sure everything gets filled out correctly, because we do know that unfortunately things get very mixed up at the DMV, and so you kind of want to make sure you fill out that form correctly the first time. So they'll help you do that over at the CVSO office. They'll give you that form to fill out, and then you'll take that form over to the DMV in order to get that on your driver's license. You can also get honoring veterans driver's license. This is a benefit that is open to pretty much anyone who lives in California. It's not a veteran specific benefit, but the goal is to pay homage and honor veterans who have given their lives or who have supported this country with their service, through everything that they've done, even if they are still living or if they've passed, it allows us to continue to honor their service. You can honor a specific unit, you can honor a specific time that of a veteran served. So there's lots of different versions of the logos that you can put on your license plates. And like I said, this is open to anyone who wants to honor a veteran's service. And finally, we have the DMV motor vehicle registration fee waiver. This is open to Medal of Honor recipients, American ex-prisoners of war, and 100% disabled veterans. The disability does have to be mobility related in order to apply for it. But again, it's just something you can find out a little bit more information on to see if you do in fact qualify. Some outdoor activities include getting a reduced cost fee for your fishing and hunting license. So you'd have to have a 50% or greater disability rating. And to apply for this particular benefit, you would go through the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. For the state park pass, you would have a no cost use, a 50% or greater disability rating, and then you would apply for the California Department of Parks and Rec in order to get this benefit. Tax programs include the property tax exemption. You would apply through your local county assessor's office. Each county is going to be a little bit different. You can look for the county contact list. I have the link there directly on the page. But if you just go to, I believe it's the Board of Equalization. I always forget what that E stands for, but that's where you can find who exactly your local county assessor is, and that's where you would go to apply for that. For the business license, tax, and fee exemptions related to opening a business, you can potentially get some of those fees and licenses waived, and you would apply through your local county or city licensing authority. Again, it's going to be a little bit different for each city and county. That's why you have to go directly to wherever it is that you live. And finally, let's talk about the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Program. This gives a certification to veteran-owned business owners who want to be able to compete competitively to get contracts with state departments. And so this allows them to do business with state departments. Each state department has a 3% a small business DVBE contract solicitation goal. That means they want to give 3% of their business to a small business or to a disabled veteran business enterprise. And actually, we just need to update this because we just found out that there's more than 10 now that have a DVBE first policy. So that means when they're opening up their contracts, they're going to look for a small business or a DVBE. So way more than 10 now who are trying to target and reach that goal first before they even look for granting their contracts to businesses that are not small business or not owned by a veteran. Your company would be advertised on Cal eProcure, and this is a free service. And then in addition to that, you have the reciprocity program, which allows some cities, counties, and organizations to recognize the same certification that you would be granted as a DVBE with the state and follow those same kind of 3% solicitation goals, potentially those first policies where they're going to give their contracts directly to a small business or to a veteran-owned business. Calvet Home Loans does provide financing for veterans. So that is the California Department of Veteran Affairs acting as the loan lenders. They are going to finance that loan. There's competitive market interest rates, there's lower no down payments, and the veteran will have to reside in the home, excuse me. So it's not something that you can use to purchase to have a second home or to purchase for somebody else to rent out. It's something that you do have to take and use as your primary residence in order to use this home loan. So any veterans who served an active duty of a minimum of 90 days would qualify. There's no prior residency rule, so that means if you entered your service in Atlanta or anywhere else in the state, and you would like to purchase this home loan, or even if you still live in Atlanta and you like to purchase a home in California using the Calvet home loans, you could do so. So you don't have to have any prior residency in order to utilize this benefit. They do also have a low deductible full replacement insurance policy that is unfortunately only available if you use the Calvet home loans. And so this does guarantee that the home will be rebuilt with the same quality of materials. And so it's a big benefit for Californians who unfortunately have wildfires or landslides, things of that nature. If they purchase their home, if it was a veteran that purchased their home using the Calvet home loan, they would have this insurance and they would have a very low deductible I believe the lowest deductible is $250 in order to have their home built completely from the ground up. More information. It's just that this is a different division or unit within CalVet. It is our CalVet Women's Veterans, and they provide information, advocacy, outreach, and support to California's women veterans. And I'm going to show you a brief snippet of what their website looks like here. Yep, there it is. This is their email. They offer a very wide variety of services as well. They also do webinars. And so it's just another way to make sure that veterans who have very specific needs are able to do so and get that support and assistance whenever they might need it. Similarly, you have the Minority Veterans Program. They provide information, advocacy, outreach, and support to California's minority veterans. They also help unnaturalized veterans in California get access to citizenship and naturalization services. That is one of the big things that they do. And then as well, here's what their website looks like. Again, just another way to have some very specific needs met if needed, but they do have an email that you are more than welcome to contact them at and get more information. And then we have our CalVet long-term homes. Now this is towards, as you guys are getting older, so that's targeted, specifically for student, or if you're a much older student, good for you going back to school. But if you are in need of some long-term care, or you just want to live amongst other veterans, you have some 8 locations that you can choose from in order to get a variety of levels of care. So each of the different locations there that are down at the bottom offer a different variety of this combination of levels of care, for independent living, intermediate nursing care, skilled nursing care. So it's going to be some sort of combination of one of these levels of cares. In addition to that, there are quite a few veterans living here in California. And so what that means is the VA national cemeteries, once these veterans have reached their end of life, get really full. I do believe that the one in San Francisco is completely full and nobody can be interned there anymore. So what California wants to do is to make sure that there is another place for veterans to be buried and interned and still have their service honored as they are ending their lives. So it's another great option that provides 3 additional locations in California of where veterans can be interned at the end of their lives. So again, as I wrap up, I just want to go over these common veteran resources, these websites. We like to point these out specifically because information is constantly changing. And we're just a state agency. The VA does not say, hey, California, we changed this benefit, it's going to be this now. It's going to post on their website first. So we are at a lot of times are getting information as often as you are. So we strongly recommend that you are staying connected to these common veteran websites. So first, the big one, va.gov, that's the main one. That's where you're going to get access to lots of great information, healthcare, disability related, education records, anything about your updated GI Bill benefits. You have questions about that, please go to this website. Again, I always strongly encourage people to go directly to the source, or you can go to your local county veteran service office because they're way more plugged in with the source as well. So again, great place for you to go to make sure that you're always up to date on anything that might be changing related to your benefits. The next website is eBenefits. This is a great place to apply for and manage your benefits and your health benefits. Again, if you're looking for any updates on your VA claims, your education benefits, you would be able to get access to this on this website. And then finally, My Healthy Vet, a great website that we found that has become extremely important in the last year with a lot of telehealth appointments happening through My Healthy Vet. So if you do have VA healthcare, this is a great website that you may or may not already be familiar with. Some of you might be, but if you're considering enrolling in VA healthcare, this would be a great website for you guys to use. So again, that is my information here. My name is Danielle Tran. I am happy to answer any questions that you guys might have if we don't get to them during the Q&A, or if you have something that's more specific to your situation, please feel free to reach out to me. We are happy to help. That's my job. It's something I love to do. My father was in the military. My grandfather was in the military. So I do feel very passionate about making sure that you guys have all the assistance and all the help that you need. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our local interagency network coordinator, Merlene, and she's going to talk to you about not only what she does in the Inland Empire area, but how a link in any location can help and assist you. Go ahead, Merlene.
Thank you so much, Danielle. So I am a local interagency network coordinator. And what I do is I do interagency contacts. Let me go ahead and show you a map of the the California here. This is a map of our regions, so you get an idea. I am the local interagency network coordinator for that big red area there. That would be Inyo, Mono, San Bernardino, Riverside counties. It's my great honor to assist the veterans in this area. Every link has a extensive background working with veterans. I've worked with veterans for the last 8 years, 3 here in Calvet. But each region has specific and unique needs. My region, as you can tell, is very vast and has geographical issues such as transportation. As you can imagine, owning a car in this area and traveling throughout this region be very difficult on any type of transportation. As well, it's very rural, and so the income's lower than, say, in Orange County, which would have many resources for veterans and retirees, which would take, you know, several bases in California, and they would retire out there in Orange County. But there would be so many different organizations and so many different things that the veterans need in that area. It's a small region, but it's very compact, and they have different needs, such as medical care and homelessness in that area. So, so you could tell in that area and in San Diego, it would be very good weather. It would be a good place to go if you didn't have a place to sleep at night. So Central California, we're looking at farming communities. Northern California, same type of thing, but as well as very vast and geographical. San Francisco, all of the links here, they're very, very good. They all have extensive backgrounds and a huge network, as you're going to see in the next slide. Next slide, please. So what we do is we reach out to the service members, the veterans and their families, and we make referrals and work directly with established service providers and networks. So my networks is going to be very, very vast. We assist with the local emergencies. If you remember the fires we had recently, that would be something to look at. You would find a link at one of the local assistance centers at the LACs. We also provide leadership and advocacy to local communities. I've worked directly with the county. They could tell you that I've advocated on behalf of veterans to them, and they work with me directly. I can do a warm handoff. I do the same thing with the federal VA as well, and also with community nonprofits and things. Next slide. So many of my contacts, as you can tell, would be the employment development department, all of the state contacts. So American Job Center, County Veteran Service Office, Calvet, healthcare would be the next thing that I advocate for. In mental health, the vet centers, the clinics. I've sat with veterans, held their hand as they waited to be seen for mental health issues. It depends on what the veteran needs, but I have a huge network that I can refer them to and do that warm handoff. It's so important because it's much different. The veteran gets the direct assistance that they need. Next slide. So this is my contact information. If you would like to contact another link that you saw in a different area, or if you have questions about what I do or need a contact or need somebody to advocate for you, please go ahead and get a hold of me. I'm going to go ahead and at this time, I'm going to introduce our County Veteran Service Officer. This is Grant Gauchi. Grant, go ahead.
Thanks, Marlene. Hello, everyone. Grant Gauchi, Riverside County Department of Veteran Services. First off, I'd just like to say thank you to all our veterans and their families for their service to our country. So thanks for your service, and know that we are here to serve you when you get out of the military. Next slide. Okay, when you come to a County Veteran Service Office, we can assist you with essentially all your federal, state, and local veterans benefits. Next slide. So for the Veterans Administration, there's 3 branches: the Veterans Health Administration, which handles healthcare related services, hospitals, clinics, pharmacies, and there's the VBA, Veterans Benefits Administration, which is all monetary type benefits. They're compensation, education, training, home loan, life insurance, voc rehab, and survivors benefits. Then there's the National Cemetery Administration, the NCA, which handles all burial benefits, headstones, markers, medallions, etc. And on the CalVet side, there's the CalTAP program, which we're doing today. The college fee waiver applications, we process those locally at our County Veteran Service Office. We process thousands of those every year. But you can simply email those to us or mail them. And if you need an application, we can send you one. And we process those relatively quickly. Usually in 3 to 5 business days, we can get those processed and returned. We help with applying for the CalVet Veterans Homes. It's a pretty lengthy application, and our representatives can assist with that. There's Veterans Housing Program, VHHB, and other things. Next slide. So essentially, what do we do? Our mission statement is to honor and promote all veterans and to enhance their quality of life and that of their dependents and survivors. And we do that through counseling, claims assistance, education, advocacy, and special projects. Notes that $457 million in new benefits were generated from CVSOs, County Veteran Service Offices throughout the state in 2018-19. For our Riverside office, we generated $39 million in new benefits for our veterans in Riverside County last year. Just an interesting fact, when I started in 1997 with the county, a total federal expenditure that came into the county was $79 million. Last fiscal year, the total federal expenditures that come into our county is $823 million. Once benefits start for a veteran, they can usually continue, for the lifetime of the veteran. So each year we add on to the amount that of total federal expenditures that come into the county. So the economic impact of that is big. They say that dollars change hands 3 to 7 times. So the economic impact on consumer spending in Riverside County is over $5 billion for the federal dollars that come into the county. Next slide. So types of assistance. Again, comprehensive benefits counseling, networking, and advocacy. We network closely with our state partners, with Merlin and with the federal VA, Veterans Health Administration. We know how to navigate through various healthcare requirements for different needs. Working with fee bases if there's payment issues or billing issues, linking you to the pharmacy or the various clinics, and we assist with filing for dependents indemnity compensation for survivors benefits. That's if a veteran died of a service-related disability or injury, burial benefits. We assist with preparing, developing, and submitting compensation claims, pension claims, assist with life insurance, request for records, discharge upgrades. Like I said, we process a lot of college fee waiver applications, and then we also do the veterans verification forms to get the veteran designation on your driver's license. Next slide. So what is a service-connected disability? Essentially, it's any injury or illness that occurred while in service. And there's different ways you can get compensated for that. There's actually 5 ways. One is by direct, something directly happened while you were in service. Second is secondary. So let's say you hurt your right knee, and then it caused you to overcompensate with your left leg and later develop left knee problems. Well, that's secondary. There's aggravated. So if you went in with a condition and that it was aggravated, made worse while you're in the service, you can get compensated for that. And then presumptive. So if you served in Vietnam and was exposed to Agent Orange, or if you served at Camp Lejeune, exposed to contaminated water on the base, exposed to ionizing radiation or burn pits, if you develop illnesses or injuries or illnesses related to those exposures, you can be compensated for that. And then the final way is the 1151 claim, which is if the VA hospital was to do like a malpractice type of a procedure where, let's just, for example, say you went in to have knee surgery and they did it on the right knee instead of the left knee. Well, that was a clear mistake on the VA's half. I've never seen that happen before. It's just an example. But in that instance, the veteran could file for service-connected disability, and they would treat it as if it happened in service. You could be compensated for that mistake that was made by the VA. Again, that's very rare. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and it's I may have seen one or two minor cases for that. Next slide. So what's required for a service-connected disability? Number one, you have to have a diagnosed condition, and it has to be documented that it actually happened in service. If it's not documented for like combat stress, or if you were exposed to something, you can get lay statements, buddy statements. But initially, something has to happen during military service, and it has to be chronic or permanent in nature. If it's acute and transitory, like a flu or cold, those things don't count. It has to be chronic or permanent in nature. And then once so it's proof that it happened in service, a diagnosis of a claim condition, and then a nexus statement linking that condition to some event or exposure when you was in the service. Next slide. So how do we do a claim? First thing is call our office, and right now we do have in-person services, but we're doing it by appointment only, just to keep our lobbies from getting too crowded. That way we can control the flow of people coming in to see us. But we're also using technology. So when you call our office, they enter the caller into our reception queue, and then once our representative's available, they call back and provide an interview, and then they can do the intent to file over the phone. And we have an application we're using is called Finger.Inc. It's a smartphone application. So once the form's completed, we'd have you sign that intent, using your smartphone. And then we need a copy of your D-214, which you could send to us. And then we appoint a veteran service organization as your claims representative, authorizes us to represent and help you with your claim. Just as an FYI, all of our veterans representatives go through extensive training through the California Department of Veterans Affairs to get their accreditation, and they're also all go through the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers to gain their national accreditation. So they have cross accreditations with VFW, American Legion, Military Order, Purple Heart, California Department of Veterans Affairs, American Legion. They hold multiple accreditations. And so once they appoint us as your veteran service organization, then we have the ability to assign on your behalf if we need to. During that time, they would also complete the fully developed claim for whatever disability benefits or other benefits you're applying for. And then we would hold that claim until we receive all the supportive evidence to submit it. And once you get everything together, gather all your evidence, service records, nexus statements, lay statements, medical opinions, then you would submit all of that to us. We can do it either by mail, phone, or email, fax, or bring it in person, drop it off. Then we would formally submit the claim, directly upload it into the VA system, and then you'd go for an examination. And once you have your exams, then it's just a waiting process till the VA makes a final decision. Next slide. Discharge upgrades, we do help with those. Basically what you want to do is paint a picture for the VA that, hey, I made a mistake in the service, but since I've gotten out, I'm a model citizen. So if you had alcohol or drug related issues in the service, you want to show that, hey, I've attended these, been clean and sober for so many years. I volunteer at these different organizations. I've had a good career, good work history. And I'm a good citizen. Made one mistake, don't deserve to be labeled with other than honorable discharge. So you want to get it upgraded to a general discharge, or usually you can get it up one, sometimes two to an honorable. But we can assist with that, and we also highly recommend contacting Swords to Plowshares. They're kind of experts in getting discharge upgrades completed. So next slide. So how do you contact your CVSO? One easy way is to just, well, you can use the directory and the Calvet book. Then you can also call the 844-737-8838 number. And you just put, when you dial that number, you enter the last 5 digits of your zip code, and it will route the call right direct to the nearest County Veteran Service office. Next slide. Calvet also has a service provider by location area on their website, which you can enter the zip code, and same thing, it'll link you to the nearest office you're looking for in that county. And again, I'm Grant Gauchi. I'm the Director of County Veteran Services. I'm a Navy veteran, served in the submarine service. You have my email information. If you have specific questions or need help with your claims, please just call our office, and one of our representatives will be more than happy to help you. Thank you. Questions?
Yes, thank you so much. We are going to head into our question and answer panel. So Michael has been running the CalTAP questions, moderating the chat for us today. So if there are any questions, he's going to go ahead and begin to field those now.
Yeah, we actually have a couple questions. I'm going to be selective with the questions because we're trying to keep them general rather than going into personal information. But we do have a couple that I want to bring up. And for those people who have asked questions that we didn't get to, contact information is right there. So please feel free to reach out to them to get your question answered. Let's see. But the first question, this is going to be for Grant. Can you just quickly again explain how the steps that one has to go through to get that disability rating?
Okay, yeah, essentially, you contact one of our representatives. They're going to interview you and screen you, asking if you had any injuries, illnesses, or anything happened in service. And you're going to need your DD-214. That's if you've never filed a claim for benefits, we need that to establish your service. And then you need to be diagnosed with a claim condition. So, and you need proof that something actually occurred in service. So sometimes that means requesting your service records. If you don't have a copy, we can help request those and get it. And then once you have your service records, we can review them to go over if there's any injuries that you may have forgotten that happened in service. For the college fee waiver programs, something as simple as a scar, that's a 0% rating, or hearing loss is oftentimes a 0% rating. Where if you've got hearing tests that show you had a little bit of hearing loss in service, but it may not be bad enough to be compensable. But if there was some loss from one time you went in service to the time you got out, or if you just was in a really noisy occupation or a combat, artillery, or worked around diesel engines or flight line, or worked in the, noise exposure in the service, and hearing loss and tinnitus are the two most common claims for benefits that there are. So you'd want to look through those, especially if you have kids, because 0% rating, it's not compensable. I use this example of my finger. I have a scar laceration happened in the service. Never thought anything about it. I never filed for it because I have other service-related conditions. But that scar on the finger, laceration, shows that it was stitched up in the service. Is permanent in nature, but it's not a barrier for employment, so it's not compensable. But that's enough for my kids to go to school and get their tuition waived. So that's why it doesn't matter how minimal or small it may be. It's good to get those listed in file form if you have children. So DD-214 records, then we would advise you getting private medical records, lay statements, or lay statements is a statement from someone you may have served with who may have witnessed it. If it's not documented in your service records and someone else witnessed you injuring yourself, they can write a personal testimony or personal statement, and with being as specific as they can, where you were stationed, when it occurred, what base you were at, or as much detail as possible, and then those lay statements can be used as evidence for your disability claim. So initially, just call call one of our representatives, or if you'd like to do it in person, you can schedule you for an appointment. And then they'll sit down and interview and go over the whole process. So initially, we can, with District D 214, we can file the intent, just letting the VA know that you intend to file a claim. That preserves the effective date. And then we'd go over all the evidence, review your records, request any records that you may not have. And then if you have private medical records, you want to get those. If you're being treated for a condition that you've had since service, we want to get those documents together to send in support of your claim. And then when you send a fully developed claim in, it gets processed a lot faster. The old process was you just submit the application and the VA has a duty to assistance to send off for all those records. Well, claims used to take 6 to 12 months to process. Now they're taking, 6 to 8 weeks to process in some cases, but usually on average about 1 to 3 months to process claims. So by doing fully developed claims and getting all the information up front and submitting it, it's a lot more efficient, and it also gives us an opportunity as advocates to review the information before sending it off to make sure you've got a strong evidence. So does that answer your question as far as that? That's the basic process of how to get it started.
Totally. Yeah, that's good. That's a good response. And so basically to start off with your CVSO first, and if you go to calvet.ca.gov, and if you look at the top of the screen, there's a link that says find a service provider. You can always find the closest CVSO to you using that link. You can actually put in your zip code and it will give you a list of service providers that are closest to you by distance. So definitely start there first. This next question is going to be for Danny. Danny, this person asks, this is in regards to the college fee waiver. For Plan B, do you have any additional information on what the value support limit is?
That is a good question for Grant, because I know from what I've heard from listening to the CVSOs, I learn something every time. It really is, and Grant, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it really is what the parent says that they are providing. It's what they need most is the student income, but the parent has the ability and the flexibility to say they contribute as much or as little as possible. Right. And what you don't want to happen is for that support to push them over the income limit.
That's correct. Yeah. So annual value of support is not really auditable, but the student's income is. The annual value of support plus the earned income of the student combined can exceed the national poverty level. And so if you go to our website, it has a packet with a memo that explains the full process, what the income thresholds are, and how to apply. But it's sometimes hard for the parents to really give an accurate number of what that actual annual cost is for support. Because if you feed your family at home, what's an extra mouth to feed? You don't consider that annual value of support. It's your child and you feed them. You don't. So if you help out with clothes and that's what you do normally. That's not any other additional annual value of support you do when they're in school. So it's tough to take. But if you're buying their books and if you're paying for their gas, or so that's really up to the family member. We just explained that you need to take into consideration if the student worked and the annual value of support exceeds the national, the threshold, they're not going to be eligible. So try to limit your annual support, and if they're working, to not exceed that threshold. That's about all the advice we can give them. Yeah.
And actually, I want to piggyback on that too. But so any support, they're asking for college housing, transportation, books, supplies, that kind of sort of things. But you could put whatever number down the parent that they think that they're contributing, and if it doesn't go over that poverty line, then the student is good. If the parent says that they don't support the child at all, they offer zero any of support, right, that's when the school may I'm not sure if it's the school or if it might be.
There's an additional form that's required to be filled out if they say, if they're saying is there zero and you've
Right.
they want at least a statement why you're not providing any support.
Correct,
And
yes.
if they say, well, the student, they're on their own, they're working, and in some cases the veteran may be out of state, and the student lives in California. And so they're estranged. It could be, or they're not in touch with the veteran. And the spouse is signing on behalf of the veteran. There's different circumstances, but we just need a statement if they're putting zero, why it's zero.
All right.
Thank you, Grant. I learned something new. I didn't know about that particular portion. So I always learn something new whenever I listen to the CVSOs.
Okay.
Awesome.
I hope we answered that question well enough for you. All right, the next question. This person had a question about their Calvet home loan. We won't touch on that just because it does sound like it's something that you might get a better answer from through Brad. I did put Brad's contact information in the chat. If you scroll up a little bit, it is there. I could definitely put it in again. But Brad Pedersen is going to be the home loans guy that you want to talk to. He usually does the webinars with us, and he talks about the subject a lot. He loves helping out veterans. If you give him a call unexpectedly, it's not going to annoy him. He'll figure out if he could talk to you then or now or sometime later, but he will definitely give you a call back. That's the kind of person he is. So go ahead and reach out to him if you have questions, or if you're in the market, or you just want to know more about what you got yourself into. Definitely reach out to Brad, and I'll go ahead and put his information back in at the end of this Q&A session.
I have just one comment on the Calvet home loan. I purchased my first home with that program. It is a great program for veterans, and they have awesome insurance, like earthquake insurance. It's really reasonable.
Yeah.
And if you go to the website and look at the interest rates, very competitive right now. I think for a was it a 15 or 20 year loan, it's like 2.75 fixed, and then I think it's 2.89 under another program, and 2.9. So it's really reasonable rates. I think the APR is just a little slightly higher, up to like 3.179% APRs on things, but very competitive loan. If you factor in the cost of insurance and like earthquake insurance and things,
Especially in California.
it really makes it a competitive, good loan.
And if anyone, you just want to hear from Brad before you reach out to him, you can go onto our archive page. I think we had a webinar with him specifically, might have been as early as last week, where I think it's our housing programs from April 22nd is the last one that Brad was on. And so that recorded webinar is on the website. So if you want to just listen to what he has to say first before you give him a call, you can go ahead and do that. But seriously, the number that Michael's going to pull up for you is his cell phone number. And it's literally one of his favorite things to do, is he just wants to make sure that everyone has the best information, even if it's not necessarily going and getting your loan through Calvet. It's his like number one passion to just make sure you have all the tools you need to make the right decision. So he will talk to you probably longer than you want to talk to him. So definitely either check our archive page or call him directly, text him directly.
I was gonna mention the archive page. Definitely get a chance to listen to him talk. You could definitely hear the passion in his voice. This person asks, is the session going to be recorded? Yes, we are recording this session right now, and we will be posting it on our website along with a PDF copy of the PowerPoint, so that you guys can download it and view it whenever you'd like. This one's for Grant. Grant, this person wants to know, or is it possible to put a discharge upgrade in for a husband who is deceased, or for a spouse that is deceased? Is that a personal one?
That's a good one. Usually you have to be living to do it. But I would say if you have enough information to be able to warrant an increase, and you just want to do it for the record, it's possible to apply for it, but I'll have to double check on that one. If they put their contact information on there, I'll double check on that one, because I don't want to give out misinformation, but I would think it'd be possible, but it would be a challenge because the evidence is required. They don't just do discharge upgrades easily. You have to have good evidence to justify increasing it or improving the rate, the upgrade. So if you can give me their information, I'll have one of my reps research it and find out for sure.
To the person who sent that, you can send messages to anyone that has a host behind their name. So I know we asked you guys to send them all your questions to CalTAP questions, but you can send that directly to Grant by just kind of scrolling over his name. That way only he will receive your contact information, or you can feel free to contact him using that email.
You can email it to me. Email the question to me directly to my email, and I'll respond and get the answer for you. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah. So again, yeah, this website is going to be recorded. It's going to be at calvet.ca.gov. If you scroll up to the top of the chat, I did post a link for our archives page right there too. That will take you directly to that webpage. But you can also find it under the CalTAP's landing page at calvet.ca.gov. Let's see. Got maybe a couple more. What's the best link for healthcare benefits for veterans and families? You may want to start at va.gov. va.gov is where you can go to get information about the VA healthcare system and apply for or get into the system if that's what you're trying to do. I don't know if Grant or Danny has anything more to say on that. I would probably start there though.
You want to run that one by me again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it says, what's the best link for healthcare benefits for veterans and families?
Healthcare benefits? Well, for veterans, it's, you go to the VA website, it can take you to if you like Loma Linda, just type in Loma Linda VA healthcare system, and then that'll take you to their link, and that pretty much tells you how to enroll. But if you contact us, our local office here, we can assist with applying for VA healthcare. For families, it's Champ VA. So if you go to the va.gov website and look up healthcare, that's got a wealth of information there. And Champ VA is for veterans that are 100% service connected, and their families with permanent total disability, then their families can qualify for Champ VA healthcare benefits. Otherwise, it's primarily cares just for the veteran only.
Yeah. All right. We'll just take
just as an FYI though, the VA is providing the COVID vaccine for spouses and caregivers. I just took my wife in on Friday to get her first vaccine, and she goes back in 28 days. It was seamless. They got her right in, got her in for a vaccine, and so you can get the shot in the community. But if you're a veteran, you want to take your spouse in to get her vaccine, you can do that.
Right. That's great. Great information. Thank you for that. We'll go ahead and do this one last question, and then we'll move on. For those that we didn't get to, just please say it one more time. Please reach out to us through our email or phone if it's there, and we'll definitely answer those questions and have a more prepared response for you. But this last question is going to be for Grant. And Grant, this is just asking about a Nexus letter. Can you just describe what exactly is a Nexus letter?
Okay. Nexus letter is just it's a letter that it's usually in the form of a medical opinion that states one, what your disability is, a diagnosed condition, and then it talks about how that diagnosed condition occurred and linking it to present. So talk about the event, what happened in service. For example, say if you go to a doctor and with your service medical records, and your records show that you were diagnosed with diabetes in the service, and you currently have diabetes, then the doctor say, after reviewing the veteran service records, it shows that he was diagnosed with diabetes on such and such a date. The veteran currently still has diabetes mellitus type 2. So it's clear that this this condition began while in service. That's a real easy one. It's documented in your service records. You're diagnosed with it now, and it's just a statement from a doctor confirming that. Where it's a little different is if a veteran, say, has post-traumatic stress, and say, well, he served 2 tours in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan, and his military occupation, especially, was combat. It was a combat-related field, and so it's as likely as not, or more than likely, that his combat experience is what caused his post-traumatic stress. It's just a diagnosis and a statement linking that diagnosis to his military service. That's for where you don't need that is for presumptive conditions. If it's documented in your service records to serve in Vietnam and you're diagnosed with a condition, well, it's presumed that there's already a nexus, because they know that if you served and was exposed to something like Agent Orange, and you develop any of those conditions related to Agent Orange exposure, the presumption's there, so you don't need a nexus statement. You just need a diagnosis and prove that you're in service. But for other things like hearing loss, then they said you need a nexus statement saying, well, more than likely, or it's as likely as not, your hearing loss was due to noise exposure in service from being a jet mechanic on aircraft, And you also, very important with the nexus statement is that they give some rationale to support it. This occupation is very, very noisy, and you can't just make a blanket statement without some supporting rationale of why that could have caused the condition in service. So does that answer it for you?
I think that's a good answer. So yeah, that was the last question. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Danny so she could close us out. I did put Brad's contact information into the chat, and I'm going to put a link for the archives page too, for those that want to jump on there and check out what we've done in the past. Go ahead, Danny.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Grant, for sticking with us and answering all those questions.
Oh,
So yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. We do ask, I believe Michael will go ahead and send this in the chat as well, our survey link. And we do really value your feedback, and we want to make sure that we're always making continuous improvement to our program. So if you have a moment, if you could please fill out that survey, we do value your feedback. So going on to the next slide, just talking about webinars, previous and past. We still have our April one here. I got to update this. So normally this would say May, but we do have several more coming up in May. We are actually really busy in May. So please feel free to check on our Eventbrite page. That's where you can register for any events that you've seen on our page there. So if you do have questions, we do ask that you continue to ask those questions to us either via email. You can reach out to us there. We do want to just be respectful of our presenters' time and go ahead and wrap it up. So if you guys still have questions, please go ahead, and you can either email us directly at CalTAP, or you can reach us here at one of these emails. So thank you.